Welcome to the Appgate demo series. Today's topic is ServiceNow integration. Think about the idea of end users accessing applications. Think about your IT staff and whether or not they should have access to various servers that support those applications all the time or under an on-demand, as required kind of basis. We've chosen to do an integration with ServiceNow to demonstrate this exact functionality. So let's dive right into it. Think about the idea that there's a server on your environment that is so important that even the people that are hired to administer and manage that server should not have access to it when it's properly functioning, right? I know this may be blasphemous to some IT administrators who are watching this demo, but that concept does exist. And so in my environment, I've got some such servers. I've got a server that's sitting at the IP address of 10.201.4.58, for example. If I try to ping that destination, I'm the IT admin, but I do not have permission to it. My Appgate client immediately interrupts me and says, hey, you're trying to access a destination, but access to this resource is being restricted because you have no open trouble ticket for it. So please check your ServiceNow incidents, right? That's effectively what this message is saying. And if you've watched any of my previous demos, you know that this is really a Chromium browser that I'm using inside of my Appgate client. That enables me to embed different HTML links and things like that. So I've for quickness and expediency, whatever, I've embedded a link to my ServiceNow console, and I can click on that link and go and look at my open trouble tickets that I have for my environment. So let's look and see what that looks like. ServiceNow is loading up, and I'm going to have to authenticate to the environment, so I'm going to need some credentials. And let's pick, this is my Jim Anthony credential. So let's see what trouble tickets Jim.Anthony has assigned to him. And I'm logged in here. You can see who I am. He's pulling up the open trouble tickets. And I do have a trouble ticket, right? Incident number 10293. It is for a different IP address, 10.201.4.18, but it is in a resolved state, right? So even if I tried to reach that 4.18 address, I wouldn't be able to get there because I don't have an open trouble ticket, an in-progress trouble ticket. So just as a reminder, I've left my ping running in the background. It's still trying to reach that destination. Appgate's still waiting for me to say, hey, I get it, right? But let's go in and simulate the owner of the platform inviting Jim in to do something. So let's create a new trouble ticket. So I'm going to hit the new button. And here I'm going to say, help me fix my server, for example, right? And I'm going to add, it is in AWS Northern Virginia, and the target is 10.201.4.58 as an example, right? That's what I was pinging in the terminal window. And so it's going to be assigned to Jim Anthony, right? So boom, we now have an open trouble ticket. I've submitted that ticket, and I'm going to flip back to my ping command, and very quickly you see ping starts to work. So I'm successfully pinging that 10.201.4.58, and it's simply because when I hit that submit button, I've got API calls integrated into that ServiceNow platform that sense the change to that open trouble ticket table and issue API calls back to the Appgate controller saying, Jim Anthony now has an open trouble ticket to 10.201.4.58 in AWS Northern Virginia. Do your magic, right? And the magic is create an entitlement for that destination, create a policy that maps Jim Anthony to that entitlement, and if Jim is connected with an Appgate client, tell his client to refresh itself because it now has access to that destination. So let's go look and see what the Appgate client looks like at this point. I'm going to confirm the message and go and look at my entitlements. And if I just search for snow, you can see I have a snow ServiceNow related entitlement that ends in incident number 10298. And it's granting me TCP access on certain ports and ICMP access as well. That's what allows my ping to flow through. 10298. If I go back and look at the Appgate console, I'm sorry, the ServiceNow console, you can see that incident number is 10298. It is the exact incident number associated with the trouble ticket that was associated with Jim. And so it's in progress. Jim has access to it. So let's just pretend, you know, hey, let's kill that ping. Let's SSH to 10.201.4.58. Yep, no problem. I'm there. Let's, you know, maybe I run my sudo yum update, right? Do my thing. Yep, looks great. That instance is all updated. Let's apply those patches. I didn't realize I had so many patches that needed to be applied, but maybe this solves the problem. So I did it. I'm doing my thing. And, you know, it finally gets through to the end. Yep, there it is. It's cleaning up. And finally, I should have done this more often, right? But finally, we get down to the end of the sudo yum update, and I get back to my terminal window, my command prompt. I'm finally back to my terminal prompt. We're running into a couple more issues on the sudo yum update. The point is, right, I've done my thing. I'm back to my terminal prompt, and I'm going to exit the system. Well, as a system administrator, I can go back into my ServiceNow and say, hey, guess what? I've now resolved that ticket. And before I resolve it, let's ping it just to show when we lose access to it. 10.201.4.58, right? So ping's still working, no problem. So I'm going to go in and actually issue the resolution. I have permanently resolved it. I applied patches, right? Done, and hit the resolve button. Again, API calls are flowing from that ServiceNow platform into my Appgate controller and saying, hey, there's no longer an open trouble ticket for Jim for that destination, so remove his ability to access it, take away his entitlement, remove the policy, and tell his client that he no longer has access. So you see my ping starts failing pretty quickly. And again, because I'm actively pinging it, my Appgate client says, you're not access allowed because there's no open trouble ticket. And so that's an example of integration. Again, I chose ServiceNow simply because we're part of the ServiceNow Alliance program. We have access to a ServiceNow platform. We've got other ServiceNow integrations that we've created as well that will very soon be published in the ServiceNow marketplace. So watch for those. Another interesting use case here, instead of the IT administrator accessing things based on open trouble tickets, imagine the idea of a normal end user using trouble tickets to request access to things. Imagine a third party or an auditor using a trouble ticket system to request access to a different system. You could use ServiceNow's workflow process to approve or to decline that and have the Appgate API calls be the last step of that workflow. So again, lots of interesting use cases that could come out of it, combining the power of an ITSM like ServiceNow with the power of access control like Appgate, and really controlling and logging access to all these different systems. Again, ServiceNow was chosen, but this same integration could be done with Jira and really any other ITSM that's out there. But you know, so pick one that you use and step through it. Thanks for joining me, and good luck with your integration.